Hey everybody, I'm Lynda Mullaly Hunt, author of 3 books thus far, one for the Murphys, Fish in a Tree, and Shouting at the Rain. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about One for the Murphys because readers have asked me to do that. One for the Murphys is about an 8th grade girl who's blindsided by something that happens in her family and she lands in foster care, which means her family is not able to take care of her for a while. So another family agrees to take her in as a member of their family temporarily. So this book came from a few different things. It was sparked by conversations with my son, who at that time, he was about 10, 11 years old, was in love with Star Wars, loved Star Wars. And we talked about it constantly. And I started to think about Luke Skywalker. There's a character named Luke Skywalker in those movies who has always wondered who his father is, but he hasn't known. Well, he finds out, and he's very happy. He's happy to know. He feels a pull to this man that he finds out is his father. But he's also very unhappy to find out who his father is. So I started to think about that internal push and pull. What would it be like to create a character that longed for something? Like she had to have it to be happy, yet didn't want the very same thing. And this is where One for the Murphys is rooted. Carly Connors longs to go home to her mother, yet she doesn't want to go. She longs to rest her head on her foster mother's shoulder, yet she won't allow herself to do that internal push and pull. Another place that this book came from is that when I was 7 years old, my family was unable to care for me for a while, and so I did stay with another family. I stayed with a family for about 3 months. Now, it was not foster care. It was my aunt and uncle, but it was a stunning experience. So during that time period, I experienced a lot of things I'd never experienced, for the first time. I was brought to a library. I was read to. I was tucked in at night. We all sat around a table and ate dinner together. We didn't really do that when I was home. And so when I left that house, I swore that one day I would make a life like that. And that's kind of what One for the Murphys is about. It's about this 8th grade girl who is basically deciding to claim the life that she wants, regardless of the life that she's had as a child. And so this is very much my story. She really loves the Murphys. Carly Connors really grows to love the Murphys. That's actually based on another family that I met very, very much later as a young teacher. They have an Irish name, so I kind of made them an Irish family, and so it's rooted in there. So this book comes from a whole lot of things that mean a great deal to me. I never thought I would get published. I never thought I would get a contract for this book. I wrote this book because it drove me crazy not to write it. I worked furiously on it, but I never really thought that I would ever get a contract. But here it is. So people ask me, are you like Carly? Well, yeah, I am like Carly. I was. When I was 13, 14 years old, I was angry. I was walled off. I was hard to help, just like her. But I also have similarities to Tony in that respect. I love the show Wicked. I didn't discover that until I was an adult. It wasn't even released until I was an adult, but I love that show. And the idea of defying gravity, the idea of rising even though there are elements in the world or in your life that are trying to pull you down, defying gravity. I think that is I just love that. Baseball is part of this. Love the Red Sox. I guess the biggest question I get about this book is why I ended it the way I did. Now, I did another video on my writing process, and I talked about how I wrote books completely out of order. The last chapter of One for the Murphys was actually only the third chapter that I wrote. And I didn't even really know the Murphys very well, and I didn't even really know Tony. In fact, I think I added Tony to that last chapter later. but I could feel how much she loved them. And when I wrote the ending to the book, it broke my heart so much that I didn't work on the book for about 2 or 3 weeks. I just didn't want to go back to it. It made me sad. And when I finally came back to it, I did write the chapter where Carly stays. And it was terrible writing. It wasn't authentic. As a writer, your writing has to be authentic. It has to be real. Even if things happen that you'd rather they not, even if characters do things you wish they hadn't, it needs to be authentic. It needs to feel real. And so I had to stick with that original ending. But rumor has it that there are some readers out there who are not happy with me, shall we say. So that leads me to the epilogue. Now, an epilogue is a scene in the back of a book that flashes far into the future that tells you where a character has ended up. So I'm going to tell you the epilogue. I'm going to tell you what happened to Carly Connors. So Carly Connors is back in Vegas with her mom, and she has just finished her 2nd year of college studying to be a teacher out in Vegas. And she decides that she just has to see the Murphys. So she's 20 years old, so she could do that. So it's the summer. She gets herself in a bus. She travels all the way across the country from Vegas to Connecticut. She gets herself to their front door. She's standing on the steps. She's very nervous. She's staring at the bright white door. She's counting the brown slats in the front of the house. And she's beginning to wonder how they will react. She's beginning to wonder if she's made a mistake. But finally, she reaches over and she rings the doorbell. She hears footsteps. And the bright white door swings open, and she looks into the face of a little boy that she does not recognize. And she is devastated. She thinks, I came across the entire country, and they're not even here anymore. Then she hears Julie Murphy's voice coming from the kitchen. And she says, Connor, who is at the door? And she looks down at the little boy again, and she realizes that the Murphys had another son, and they probably named him after her. Soon after that, Julie Murphy comes into the foyer, drying her hands on a towel. She sees Carly, drops the towel, runs to her, wraps her arms around her, and whispers in her ear, I have been waiting for you. So Carly's okay, right? Carly's okay. And I've had a lot of readers ask me at schools, so when Carly went back to her mother was a better mom, right? Her mom took good care of her. And my answer is no. Her mother didn't change at all. But the most important thing is that Carly had changed. Even though her mother had not changed, Carly had changed. She had a taste of the kind of life that she wanted. And regardless of what her mother's behavior was, she had decided she was going to make that life for herself. She was going to go to college. She was going to be a teacher. She was going to make that life for herself. Because sometimes kids grow up in circumstances that are not ideal, that are not good. But those kids do not have to continue those lives when they become adults, right? We all have control of our own lives. And that's what this book is about. The heart of this book is about a girl who decides to make the life she wants, regardless of what she's been dealt as a kid. That's the whole heart of this book. And I love this book. I don't know if, it's my first or or what, but it's surprising to me sometimes that brown house doesn't exist in Glastonbury with that family in it. Exactly as it is in the book. That Tony isn't coming over giving Mr. Murphy trouble about the Yankees, and that Carly's with them. It feels so real to me. It feels so real. And I hope that One for the Murphys feels real to you as well. So there's the epilogue that I promised. Carly is okay. And for those of you who have read the Murphys, or for those of you who are thinking about reading the Murphys, I'm really grateful. Thank you very, very much. So have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you someday in person. All right, take care. Bye-bye.